The gentleman I am turning this call over to, he has his PhD in finance and economics. He is the one, the only finance doctor, and I'm telling you, he has over 26 years experience, consultant, CFO, and an educator. So you want to stay put, grab a pen and paper as you listen to the one and only finance doctor. Dr. B, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Miss Tasha M. Dyer. The M stands for she missed a year because it's now 27. Just messing with you, but it is 27. You know, we get used to saying something, and then when it shifts, we have to make amends. I have a perfect example of that. Someone asked me for my bio, and I sent it, and then realized that all of my children's ages were wrong. So we got to do that updating every once in a while. So welcome to a talk with the finance doctor, your RX for FOREX. I should have gone with the 26 because it makes me feel younger, but it is what it is. So for those of you that are new, this call is purposely utilized with the preposition with, because this is to be a conversation. So every other call is chart-based. So the best way to answer questions, or to ask questions, excuse me, is to do so in the chat. But here, this is a dialogue. This is a conversation. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you have a testimony, please unmute your mic and ask your question. So let's start with that. Are there any questions for the finance doctor tonight? Okay, so I realized that this group thrives on concepts. So I said to myself, this group needs a new concept. So I went in the lab. I went in the concept lab, and I wanted to come up with something that was new, that was innovative, that would move the crowd. Eric B. and Rakim, Miss Anderson. And so as a result of that, I came up with this outstandingly appropriate phraseology that we're going to add to the BYOB acumen. And it's this, okay, get ready. Get your pens and pads ready, or if you do your notes in your phone, whatever device you use, whatever mechanism you use, you're going to want to record this, because this will be something we will say for years to come. I came up with this creative new term, this creative new phrase, and it's called Trust Your Trade Thursday. Come on. Am I the bomb or what? Let me say it again. Trust Your Trade Thursday. Are you kidding me? Do you believe the things that I come up with when I go into my spiritual lab and I ask the Lord to reveal to me? So obviously, I am being extremely sarcastic, and here's why. For those of you that may have missed our earlier calls, you know, we do a 5 a.m. Eastern profit call, and we do a 9 a.m. Eastern call at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I am almost sure it was the 9 a.m. call, but someone came up with that outstanding phrase, trust your trade Thursday. And I want to say this to Ms. Dyer, whoever it was must have chatted you privately, because I never saw it. I kept trying to look to see who said it. But the bottom line is I just wasted the last 1 minute and 37 seconds of your life, because I really love that term, but was not the creator and innovator. In fact, if the person who came up with that is on this call, can you please tell me who what? DL. Got it. Is DL on the call? Doesn't look like it. So bottom line is this. I thought that was an outstanding phrase. And DL, if you are on YouTube checking us out, just know that I thought that was outstanding. And let me tell you why I thought that was outstanding. Because we spend a lot of time in this forum discussing the importance of taking our skill set acumen, our understanding of the macroeconomic environment, our ability to be able to be an educated trader, but to mix all of that in a gumbo that's seasoned with mindset, where we have to understand how important our mindset is. And I remember having a conversation with a team member about 3 weeks ago. And the conversation was about why people stick, why people continue to plug in and get to the 6 figures in 6 months versus those who don't. And oftentimes, one of the main reasons why individuals do not make it, or individuals drop off, or individuals begin to plug in less and less over time is because of their belief structure, because of what they think about themselves, because of how they believe this process is. And I will give you an outstanding example from last night. I was speaking to one of my former students, and I explained to the former student, let me make sure you understand this, went through the proper progression. She was exposed to the video. She went on a informational call. So she had all the information. She knew what the price was. She knew everything. But she began to talk about how being an emergency room nurse, there's no way she would be able to spend hours and hours on the chart. So I explained to her what we do and how we do it. And she responded by saying, there's no way I can spend hours and hours on the chart. So then I explained to her that I personally spend more time in this educational mentoring coaching space than I do actually trading. That the actual trading takes far less time than the movement itself. And she responded by saying, I don't have 2 or 3 hours in order to trade. So as I continued to dig deeper and deeper, it was uncovered that she has colleagues, she has friends and associates that trade. And the way they trade is stressful. It's hours and hours. So you have to think about this. What is a belief, B. Wildbeard? What is a belief? A belief is a thought that you keep thinking. A belief is a thought that you keep thinking. And oftentimes our beliefs are specifically implanted in us based on our experience, based on what we see, based on what we hear. You know, our radio show on Tuesday, we were messing with Bishop Robertson because he made some comments about the news. And I have not watched the news since the year 1999. I'm serious about it. I literally have not watched the news broadcast since 1999 because I know how heavy it is. I know that something big that happens, it'll come out. And I know that when we continue to watch features of things that are bad happening, things that are scary, things that are fearful, eventually that gets into our subconscious, and unknown to us, we begin to attract it and don't even realize why. So I said all that just to say that this young lady, as intelligent as she is, and knowing that I was a very hands-on professor with her years ago, of course I'm going to be hands-on as her teammate, but the belief was so strong that you have to spend 2 or 3 hours. So as we continue to have this dialogue, and I finally got her to let go of that belief, then she started saying this. Well, what if I get in a situation and I don't know what to do? I said, hello? First of all, I just told you that we do 40 free calls a month. And I am your former professor. So you have me in your phone. So you have a direct access to not only the implementer of the strategy, but the visionary and the finance doctor. So you have everything that you need. And she responded by saying, yeah, but what if I have questions? And this went 5 or 6 rounds. Now I want you to hear me. First of all, let's be honest. She is an emergency room nurse. Let me say it again. She is an emergency room nurse. Can you imagine what you see on a daily basis as an emergency room nurse? Can you imagine the pain and the crisis that you see? So I have all, shout out to her, because she's not only, being an emergency room nurse is challenging before a global pandemic. But it's obviously going to be challenging during a global pandemic. You're in the belly of the beast every day. So I understand why her belief structure was so strong, but I just found it fascinating that I kept saying to her, we've got all of these calls and you've got me in your phone. But she kept saying over and over and over, well, what if I have questions? What if I have questions? So it took a long time for me, DL. It took a long time for me, DL, to be able to convince her to trust the process. So that is why I got so excited when when DL made up Trust Your Trade Thursday. Because Trust Your Trade Thursday is way more than the trade. It's really about the belief structure that you bring to this movement. It's about the experience that you have. It is about your ability to be able to look at some of the things you've seen and now let go and have a new belief system. There's a famous author, and if he's that famous, I should remember his name, but I don't. There's a famous author that made this quote. He said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read, but it will be those who do not have the ability to unlearn and relearn. Let me say it again. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read, but those who do not have the ability to unlearn and relearn. Come on, y'all. There is so much stuff that is happening in this world. There's so much change. There's so many shifts. There's so much technology. There's so many opportunities but we have to trust our trade. We have to believe in a new system that is going to honor us. I'll give you another. Why do y'all keep asking for examples? Okay, I'll give you another one. I have a fraternity brother that I find very intelligent. In fact, he is a medical doctor, very intelligent. I sat down with him and several of my fraternity brothers. I am a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. So I sat with all of my fraternity brothers and I explained to them, of course, took them through the proper process and had a dialogue about the Be Your Own Bank movement. And this particular fraternity brother, who again is a medical doctor, pause, just for a second. Think of the process you have to go through when you're an undergrad. When we went to Howard University, you're an undergrad and you're pre-med. Those classes are no joke. At Howard University, all the medical classes were in the valley, meaning that here's one part of Howard University, here's another part of Howard University, and there's this low part. So you literally had to go down a hill in order to go to class. You had to go up the hill after class. So it was just an environment of sacrifice and hardidity. Yes, he said hardidity. So that's where he comes from. Then you go to medical school. And watch this. I'm gonna really, I hope nobody snitches. But here's another part of his experience. He is an African-American who grew up in Los Angeles. And his family, when he was in high school, moved to Beverly Hills. So you've got a South Central LA guy who now is transplanted to Beverly Hills as almost a senior. And so you can imagine what that culture shock was like. So he's seen some struggle. So I said all that to say this. We have the conversation about the Be Your Own Bank movement, and my intelligent fraternity brother says this: there's no way it's that easy. There's no way it's that easy. Now, it is that easy. It's that easy because of what we do. It's that easy because of I Am Academy. It's that easy because Ms. Dyer created an excellent strategy. It's that easy because we mentor and coach you throughout the month. But it really is that easy. In fact, I'll go ahead and give her a shout out right now. We had a movement before the BYOB Cash Out strategy. And it was much more challenging before Ms. Dyer came up with this strategy. This strategy literally easierizes it. So we're sitting in this conversation and he says, there's no way it's that easy. So he passed on it. He passed on it because his belief system was everything has to be a struggle. Everything has to be hard. Everything has to be a process. And I'm saying this not just as a mechanism for you to understand how people see things when you expose this to people. I'm also saying this to you because sometimes we bring some of that to this process. Sometimes we have this inner belief that we haven't connected with that it's no way it's that easy. Sometimes we hardize it ourselves. Ms. Dyer will say, okay, do this, this, and this, and then you'll ask questions, adding things to what's not even there. That's not you being unintelligent. That's not you making a mistake. That's you coming to the table with a subconscious belief based on what you've experienced. So it's okay. But we have to, DL, trust our trade. We have to trust our trade. And part of trusting the trade is realizing you can do this. This is easy for you. Ms. Dyer and the Lord have made it easy. So you now have an opportunity to get to 6 figures in 6 months easily by finding 3 indicators. Not 7, not 9, 3. And I sometimes chuckle with the beginners because we all did it. You know, you have a million questions and you're adding so much to the pressure and you're tightening your shoulders when the reality is just look at the 3 look at the 3 indicators. And I love this question, and we always get this from beginners. What do you do if you don't have the 3 indicators? What do you do if you don't have the 3 indicators? It's so simple. Have the 3 indicators, do it. If you don't have the 3 indicators, don't do it. How simple is that? But we live in a world that puts so much pressure on a process, that puts so much pressure on things being challenging and difficult. I will give you another example. Y'all keep asking me for examples. So my oldest daughter, I have 3 daughters, 20, 17, and 16. The 20-year-old is at Florida A&M University. She's going into her junior year, but she's really a senior because she has some dual enrollment credits. So she could really be finishing the semester. So she said to me, Dad, I'm thinking about getting a couple scholarships just to make the final year easy. I said, sure. So we found this website and they have this list of scholarships and it's a whole bunch of them. So I sent it to her and said, hey, oldest daughter, just go and fill out these scholarships. And the first thing she did was this. Because to her, it's the process of going through it and filling out the application and answering the questions and doing the essays. She hadn't even looked at it yet. But in her mind, it's a process. So I had to say to my oldest daughter, on the other side of this is something that's beneficial for you, and it's something that you just asked for. So trust the process. The same way DL trusts the trade on Thursday. So right now, there's somebody who's listening to me right now who is going through the process. You're doing all the right things. You're plugging in, but you've been having a little bit of anxiety because you don't quite trust the trade. You're second guessing yourself. You're questioning yourself. And that's not about the trade. That's not about the strategy. That's about the society that we live in and the belief structure that has happened as a result. So I am going to pause myself on purpose. And when I pause myself, I want to hear from someone who is going to be bold enough to share the truth of what I'm saying. You know why? Because it will bless everybody else. There's somebody on this call right now with this concept of Trust the Trade Thursday speaks to your experience. So I'm going to take a sip of water while you unmute your mic and tell your testimony. Come on, y'all, don't make me look like that. People are watching this 20 years in the future. So unmute your mic and please share your testimony. Come on, y'all, I know I'm right. So go ahead and unmute and tell me, yes, you that just said, is he talking to me? Yes, it was you. So please unmute your mic.
Hey, Dr. Bythewood, this is Tasha Nan.
First of all, I knew it. Okay, Miss Nunn, how you doing?
Awesome. Thank you
Excellent.
for the opportunity to share. You are absolutely right. Um, you know, I know for myself, I will get in my head sometime and I need to relax and, do my patience, profit, be at perfect peace and trust the analysis and trust the trade. And once I do that, um potentially it works out better, but it is a concern the way the market is going right now, the things that are happening in the world, the news that could come out and potentially turn the trade the other way. But what I notice is when I'm not operating in that, in the, just trusting my analysis and trusting the trade and our strategy that has been already developed for us, when I don't do that and then I sit back and I watch it all play out, I wish I had of, because I could have taken more profit in the market.
Ms. Nunn, I certainly appreciate you saying it. You're not the only one, by the way, but I certainly appreciate you unmuting your mic and sharing that. Now, a couple of things we can take from that. So I knew that whatever was said was going to allow us to dive deeper into this subject. Now, first of all, let's break down that word, concern. Concern is an energy. Concern is an energy. And we really never have to be concerned about anything. All we have to do is set ourselves in a position where we focus on what we want. Like you hear Ms. Dyer say a lot, where focus goes, energy flows. So the moment that we use that word concern, we tighten our shoulders up. And what happens when we tighten our shoulders up? We get closer to attracting whatever it is that we're concerned about. Can I give you a couple of real life examples, snatched from this world we live in? What did your parents and grandparents and auntie and them tell you when you were around the dog? If you don't know the dog, are you supposed to be scared around the dog? Of course not. Because what happens when you're scared? The dog attacks. That's the way life is. Life attacks when you're scared. When you're concerned, life barks at you. Life jumps at you. The reason why the dog attacks is because it instinctually senses that fear. And it simply is something that they're attracted to. Life is exactly the same way. Here's another way of looking at this. I want you to really, really walk away with this. We live in an inclusion-based universe. We live in an inclusion-based universe. What does that mean? That means we can only include things in our experience. We can only include things in our experience. It is impossible to exclude something from your life. That's not true. Okay, you just did it. That's not true. Okay, watch this. Watch this. Classroom participation. Don't unmute. Just participate with this on your own. Okay, right now, don't think about a pink elephant. You heard what I said. Stop thinking about the pink elephant. Get the pink elephant out of your mind. Exactly. Because I said stop thinking about the pink elephant, each one of you thought about the pink elephant. What you resist will persist. What you resist will persist. It is impossible for you to take something out of your experience. You can only bring things in your experience. I had a life coaching client, and I said this to the life coaching client. The life coaching client said, that's not true. I said, it is true. Let's prove it. I said, and the person happened to live in Minnesota. I said, life coaching client, go outside and dig a hole. Get your shovel and dig a hole. So the life coaching client got smart with me. Well, this is Minnesota and there's snow on the tundra. It's not nice earth like you have in Florida. Okay, just do what I told you to do, life coaching client. So, did I get a little attitude like I was reliving that? So the person dug the hole. They dug the hole. Now, 3 days later, I said, hey, go back and look at the hole. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. I wasn't there. I didn't know what happened, but think about how confident I was that my paying client was going to have a reaction and a response that was commensurate with my point. Well, when they went outside, guess what? The hole wasn't there anymore because it's impossible to take away from the earth. You can only add to the earth. What are you talking about, Dr. B? Go outside and chop down a tree. Oh, I took away from the earth, I chopped down a tree. Okay, what's gonna happen 30 years from now? 30 years from now, a squirrel will find a nut, will leave that nut will now go into the ground, they'll forget where they at, and it will cause an oak tree. The acorn becomes the oak tree. So all I'm saying is, if you really think about it, the way in which this earth is created, it's impossible to exclude anything from the earth. You can only add to the earth. You can only plant a seed. So if we think about that from a conceptual perspective, think about how many times a day you walk around trying to stop something from happening. Don't do that. Stop doing it. Okay, y'all. Y'all don't want to be real? So I'm not the only parent on this call. I want y'all to be real with me for a second. Think about the last 10 things that you told your child not to do. Stop doing this. Don't leave this out. Don't do that. Now, how many of you are going to be, you don't have to unmute unless you want to, how many of you are going to be honest with me and realize they still doing that same thing? And sometimes it is the energy of us saying it to them which makes them not do it. I had a real conversation with my 16-year-old the other day because I keep asking her to put things away and she won't do it. The disrespect. It's not disrespect. It's an energy. So I said this to my 16-year-old, I promise, 2 days ago. I said, dear, I keep asking you to do this. I keep asking you not to leave stuff out. I keep asking you not to do this, but you keep doing it. And I started thinking about something. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, in my mind, I really thought I was doing the right thing. My mother would fuss and fuss. Well, hope she's not listening to the call. It don't matter, I'm grown. So she would fuss and fuss and fuss and fuss and say, don't do that, don't do that, don't leave this out, don't leave this out. In my mind, I was doing my best. In my mind, I was trying to make sure everything was straight the way she asked me, but I would always leave something out. There will always be something she would notice that I didn't notice. I'm like, dang, I tried to clean up everything, but I didn't realize I left the iron out. And see, now in retrospect, I can understand it was an energy. I was trying to not leave things out. Therefore, I attracted not leaving things out because that was the energy I was in. It's impossible to exclude something from your experience. You can only include things in your experience. So if I say, Tasha Nunn, when said all that, say this. If I say this, Tasha Nunn, the news might change my trade. I'm trying to exclude the experience of the news changing my trade. What if I simply took that situation and remixed it? What if I flipped it? What if I said, I love the news because I always want to make sure that I have a nice liquid trade. So when the news happens, I'm going to make sure I trade 15 minutes after the news. It's the same news, it's the same trade, it's the same skill set, but it's a different energy. It's a different energy. What you resist will persist. We do not have the ability to exclude things from our experience. We can only include, what? Y'all want another example? Okay, this book that I read sometimes, early on in the book, there's a declarative statement that sets the stage for the spiritual that we walk in. What? I thought this was science. Okay, it is science. Albert Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a gift and the rational mind is a servant. We live in a society that ignores the gift and serves the servant. Child. We always trying to think it out. Didn't you hear Ms. Nunn say that? We're always trying to think it out. But this intuitive mind book that I read sometimes, it says early on, I am that I am. It says, I am that I am. It never says, I am not that I am not. Because I am not that I am not is an energy that goes against the way things are. It says God is love. It doesn't say God is not hate. God is love. I am that I am. So every single place you look, you have reinforcement of this truth that I'm telling you. The issue is we live in a society that focuses on the not. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. I'm concerned about this. No, you're not. You're in a movement that makes it easy, that teaches you what to do. You do the 3 indicators, you affirm who you are, and you focus on that and that only. Oh, I love the news because it provides liquidity to the market. And suddenly, Miss Nunn, now hear me, I'm not talking to Miss Nunn. I'm talking to all the people who didn't unmute, because Miss Nunn just gave a little bit of a sprinkling of what everybody else is thinking. So thank you, Miss Nunn, for being honest enough to help us to recognize, DL, you said something, bro. Trust the trade. Trust the trade. Isn't the affirmation, I am the signal? I am the signal. Wait. If I am the signal, you about to break it down. If I am the signal, doesn't that mean I am the trade? Trust the trade means trust you. Trust the trade means trust you. Trust you that you made a great decision to be a part of this movement. We don't need concern. We don't need to think about what can't happen or what might not happen. All we have to do is think about what we know is going to happen. It's already done. And that's the beauty of the Be Your Own Bank movement. This has been a talk with the finance doctor. Questions, comments, testimonies. Trust the trade Thursday. One more time, because I went a little bit over. Questions, comments, testimonies. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I always stop right at 10:30. I'm a tactician with this thing. You're very welcome. And DL, again, watching from YouTube, thank you so much for coming up with that. That is a very strong concept that I know you will hear again. So, one more time. Questions, comments, testimonies.
Thank you so much for another power-packed lesson tonight. We are on our way to glory. Just one more rung on this glory ladder. From glory to glory, God is taking us. Thank you, Dr. Bythewood.
You are very welcome, Miss Elizabeth Brownlee. You know why I'm smiling.
Just for 16 more days.
16 more days. Talk about it. Woo, child. Y'all know I'm gonna be right there. Right? I just want y'all to know I'm gonna be right there. Somebody's parents of children gonna have to move because I'm gonna be on the front row for that one.
All right, you have a place on the front row too.
Say that. All right. So let me close this call, but let me first say that we've had a really good week. The energy, the education, both Miss Anderson and Miss Dyer, y'all are on fire. Miss Brantley too, on fire all week. Just really good stuff. I love the energy that we're walking in right now. Let's keep it up. Miss Nunn, again, thank you for being transparent because you really do speak for the people. There's some people listening to this right now in a recording and it's speaking to them because of what you said. So thank you for that. Okay, everybody, let's close this call in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this lesson. Thank you for DL's commentary. Thank you for Ms. Nunn and her contribution to blessing others. This is what we mean by economic empowerment. This is what we mean by impacting families. We are thankful, we are appreciative, and we are grateful. All right, amen, everybody. This will officially end this call. All right, go back to the Bucks game now.
Blah, blah.